institution. And publication quality is something which actually, gives you a kind of confirmation or validation of your work, right? So if we are able to publish in a top tier journal, that means we have serious reader for our paper makes sense to people, and our work is acknowledged around the globe. So everyone is looking for how to publish there. The thing is that some we all know actually what is the basic recipe for that. Is your research problem, your research methodology, how much impact you're going to make through that research, how beautifully you convert your idea into a shape or into some words. So basically it's all about that. But the thing is that we sometimes we miss on the small nitty-gritties, that what actually we should portray in our paper, but how to present it. That so intention is clear of every researcher that they follow this process, but sometimes few of us miss that train, and that's why sometimes we are not able to catch that train appropriately. And it's a hard process to see the rejection mails. And let me tell you, we all see that, including Rajesh sir. He will be agree. So sadly, nobody celebrates the defeat stories and the situations when we lose. So we always post our success. So that is the sad part. So first of all, we need to accept in this journey that rejection is something we will face every day, every time, and nothing can guarantee you that every time you will send the paper to any journal that will be accepted. So first thing, we should start with that mindset, and then we see that how we can further improve our acceptance rate, and what factors we can keep in mind while we are sending a manuscript to any journal, and how to target the appropriate journal. So I think I'll give an opportunity to Rajesh sir to kindly add in this, whatever I have.
Thank you, James, for inviting me, and thank you all the participants for your patient listening. Just as a adding to Pooja ma'am was saying, like maybe as an editor, we feel sometimes very bad to have rejections, but we have to keep the acceptance rate and the quality of the journal. We have pressures from the EIC, so we have to keep the quality of the journal. So mostly, maybe we can say that rather than thinking on how my article is rejected, we can think on how to improve my article. Like maybe it's rejected once, what are the comments, why the reviewer has rejected, or what are the comments the reviewer has given for the article. So whether these comments are addressable, first we can see that maybe the reviewer, sometimes they may not be liking the area, sometimes they may not be in the area. So that part maybe we can say that it's not in our hand. But mostly when the reviewer is in your area and they are giving some constructive comments, so don't take it in a negative way. So you can think on these are the areas of improvement. So always be as a researcher, you have to accept that there are rooms for improvement for your paper. So please try to incorporate that comments rather than in a rush to send to the next journal, because that comments, maybe the same comments will be repeated by the next reviewer. So mostly when I've seen with the reviewer, so before sending to the reviewer itself, as a editor or an associate editor, we have to make decisions based on, mostly based on the scope. Mainly the rejections happen that I see is like maybe they don't see the scope of the journal. They simply send some article in the other area, subject area. They think that the journal is good. Okay, let it, we can see, let it give a try that the paper will be going through the journal. So that is one instance of rejection. And another may be the length of the paper. So you have to read carefully what are the instructions given in the paper for the journal for article submission. Sometimes the articles will be too long, so that the journal cannot handle. So if it is 8,000 or 10,000 words, maybe there I have seen papers with 12,000, 14,000, or even 16,000. So we cannot even help, because even the review comments are incorporated, it will go beyond 20,000. So that we will go for a desk rejection only mostly. And along with that, the reference styling, some of the journals may be having the particular styling APA MLA. So you have to be careful with the formatting aspects also. And some of them content wise also will be checking whether the contribution will be a novel contribution, either in terms of the value volume of the work you have done, or maybe in terms of the methodological contribution, or maybe we can say in the terms of anything something novel you are adding to the existing studies. So all of these aspects we will be checking as an editor, but our job is a little bit hard to handle the rejections even. So that's what I think. I'm handing over to you for just asking anything related to the submissions, the acceptance, and how the process is about. Okay, thank you very much.
So let's address the elephant in the room. What about AI? So when I see that a lot of research papers are now getting published with the mechanism, smartly maneuvering your queries, and then the ultimate intention is to have a paper which doesn't look like a chat GPT paper, but eventually there are a lot of ways in which you can mend and then come up with a research work of the sort. How is it that you are looking at those papers? What is the way in which you are deciphering what is original work, which is copied work? So is there a mechanism in which you also understand, and then how does a writer or an author understand that you're looking at it this way?
That's
Thank you.
a very good question. Can you tell your name also, madam, please?
My name is Yukti.
Okay.
Yukti.
Okay. Just I want to add, this is a very good question, and the challenge now we are facing is about how to identify the paper which is written by ChatGPT or any other AI tool, or it is not it's written by the author itself. So mostly we rely on the tools only, because Turnitin has now an add-in with this checking for the AI tools also. But that can be also manipulated. That madam is saying that you can rephrase it, and that can happen. But mostly while addressing the reviewer comments, they will fail it. So usually we prefer to have 3 or 4 reviewer comments, and for 3 rounds of revision will be there. So mostly if the paper, the data is manipulated, or that paper is manipulated, usually they will not, because you do suppose that example I'm saying, supposed to add an additional analysis, sensitivity analysis or something. So if, with the fake data you will not be able to process, or you will not be so that is the way you will be identifying. And there are roles for the reviewers also, like they will be also contributing a lot to the quality of the journal, like. And it is a very difficult task, and maybe some few 5% or 10% article may escape through this process also, like it can happen, like I'm not denying to that.
To add one point here, Professor Yukri said there are two aspects to this question. The first thing, are you referring AI as a paper development tool, or you're talking about the paper idea? So when editors are going through the paper, they are hardly concerned what you have written, down the manuscript. They are mostly looking at the abstract and the introduction. So what gaps you are, referring to. So as an area editor, we are the specialized one to understand that what work is being done in the area. And AI, thankfully, is not able to tell about the gaps. So that is something which is very much specialized thing, and which is something which we as a scholar do. So gap thing, still it's doubtful that AI will give. It will give something, but whether it would be very it is authentic or not, that can be very much made out if you are a reader or if you are a scholar of that topic. So you need not to worry about that thing. As far as development of manuscript is concerned, yes, the concerns are there, but again, as an expert, I'm talking here about the associate editors and the reviewers. uh, One way or the other page, you will make out whether it is cooked or it is self-developed. So thankfully, it's still more years AI will take to overtake us. So be assured about that. Thank you.
So there is a lot of time that goes in the reviewing process. I mean, we lose our motivation. One. Secondly, sometimes there are opportunities that come by during the time that a paper is reviewed. And a lot of times this also happens that when the paper comes after the review, there are few changes, and probably the facet with which that you've written the paper earlier on, it happens that it completely changes. How do you take such challenges in this field? I mean, sometimes they're very disappointing, you see, you know. Yes, ma'am.
You want to answer this
I
question?
can ask, I mean, any one of you who's comfortable answering this question,
Both
please.
are comfortable, I think.
I would like both of your opinions because it's a very, I think it's a common challenge that any researcher today faces.
So there are multiple questions you asked in one question.
I'll,
So we can break it down, because as a
Yes,
researcher
ma'am.
we developed this habit to break the things into
Yes,
some
ma'am.
pointers. So we'll
Yes,
take
ma'am.
one aspect at one time. So first thing you told that it takes a lot of reading.
time.
So ma'am, research is all about that. But yes, you can add some kind of smartness here. And smartness is that you concise your reading by reading the high impact journals. And when I'm saying high impact journal, in your domain, you must be having hold of your FT50 journals, your A-star journals. If you will read those journals, most of your reading is done. Right. So you need not to read every C category paper written in that particular topic, or B category paper in that topic. And for gaps, definitely, if you are reading for past 2-3 years paper, you will find some gap. So by saying so, I'm not giving you any number that 10 paper will be sufficient to make a gap, or 20 papers will be given to it. But what I'm doing is limiting the scope of number of journals that you may,
Ma'am, I'm sorry, are we on the researching time on developing the paper? I'm talking about the publishing of the paper. That when we submit it, it takes about an year.
Your first question was that it takes a lot of time in reading and then writing a paper. So I was answering that aspect. So coming to the second point, see, this is something, few journals are fast, few journals take few time. And, especially if we talk about European Journal of Marketing, it takes sometimes 8 months on the desk also. It's not, average time is not that, but if you are not lucky enough, it takes that time also. So that is something where human limitations also come, because editor of one journal is also involved in many other activities. So that is something which should be improved, but that is something which everybody is facing. It's not you. So it's a something which should be need. And believe me, there is never an intention to hold the paper. It's just that sometimes circumstances work like that. That editor is sometimes occupied, or associate editor is sometimes occupied, or something happened. So ideally it should not, but you can always send the reminders, and if you are not in the position to wait, then you can definitely withdraw your paper. Even though this is not considered a healthy habit, so idea is that you should have this information beforehand while submitting the paper, that this journal takes so much of time. And once you are into this publication wheel, I will say, you will understand which journal takes how much time. And we have that kind of information also in the front page of the journal, that when the article was received and when it was published. So as a beginner, we can also see, whenever we are planning to submit a paper in certain journal, you can just go through 10-20 papers of that journal, and you can see how much timeline they are taking, how fast they are. For example, tourism review journal, which is a B category journal, but it is SSCI indexed, so they're very fast. They're very fast. For the review also, they give very less time. Like JBR is that they're very strict with their review guidelines. So you need to see over the period of time, you will get that whole, that how much time a journal takes. So it's again a matter of choice. Whether journal is important, or whether waiting period is important. So that choice as a author you have to make. So my time, my take is on that. This.
Thank you, ma'am. Yes, sir.
Thank you, ma'am. Same point I want to say. And one more thing I want to add to that: the editorship. Even though we don't say this, this is like the editor, the associate editorship, or maybe the reviewership. All are unpaid positions. So the people have their priorities. So first their work over, then only they will be going to look into the reviews. And we are sending timely reminders. Even 1 month we will be sending 2-3 reminders so that the article should not be delayed. And from my end, I am always like I can assure that I have not delayed more than 10 days for
I'm meeting the kind side of the editors today.
Yeah, actually with the editors we are struggling because we have to, the authors will be mailing to us, we have to send to the reviewers, and mostly 1 year is the time period, average time period for an A category journal, being like so within that we have to complete minimum 2 or 3 rounds of revision with 3 reviewers. It will be a hectic task. So but we are trying to manage it as well, and this happens also. Maybe the article is very good and maybe the timely publication is important for the author, or maybe a PhD scholar, they want to like graduate as fast as possible. So one time it happened to me, after second revision the author withdrawn the paper. So EAC will inquire about this also, what happened with that. So I said that I was not able to, because one reviewer was not very happy, other reviewer was happy. So how can I make decisions? So I was expecting for the third reviewer to make, so that I can make a decision on the paper. Yes, okay, that's
Also,
all.
there are certain topics for which people don't accept for the review.
Yes,
So
ma'am.
that is also a problem we face. People do decline. They take 2 months just to decline the review, or 1 month or so. So nowadays journal has become little harsh, or maybe you can say practical. They don't wait reviewer to decline it. They take it back themselves. So nowadays journals are working on that, and it also depends upon how much submission a journal is getting. If they are getting a lot of submissions, then it is very difficult to find the reviewers, because you cannot send 10 papers to single reviewer, na? So you have that kind of bunch also available with you to review the paper, and to make the quality of the journal, you have to get it reviewed at least from 2 to 3 reviewers. So getting the report and getting the report in the alignment is also important, because if different reviewers are submitting different kind of reviews, then again it is editor's dilemma that what to do. So again, it's sometimes it's very go and through a kind of thing, that what to do, and then again we are into the same cycle. We are sending it again. And I would also like to tell you that editors and reviewers are also authors. So they are also in the same boat. But when you are submitting it, definitely you can see them on the other side of the table. So they all know the pain of the author. So be assured about that. They all are author first, and editor and reviewer at the second place. So they all know your pain, and we all understand that pain sitting here. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, sir. My name is Mansi.
Good evening, ma'am. Good evening, sir. I have one small query. Sometime what happened when we give the reminder mails on a desk rejection, or either we do not get the desk rejection, but in under review or something. So if we give the remind 2 or 3 times, it get rejected then. So what's your opinion in that? So do not should we not disturb to editor, or what we should do?
I think that's a tricky question, but still, mostly like we are sending repeated mails to the editor. Maybe that can be annoying to the editor. I don't know. Maybe to the associate editor, I never received such kind of mails, repeated mails, maybe 2, 3 mails in a week, or for that. And the editor may feel that you are in a hurry for a decision. So maybe one time this can happen. If 2 reviewers are there positive, then there may not be any kind of negative impact on the paper. Suppose that if one reviewer has given a major revision, and second one, eventual acceptance may not be there for a good journal. So maybe major revision is the positive thing we are saying. Like, so one major revision and one rejection is there. So maybe the editor or the associate AE is waiting for the third reviewer to make a decision. So suppose in that time only you are sending repeated mails, then they will take decision based on 2 reviewers. So it will be automatically a rejection. It may not be that you are sending the mail that you have the article is rejected, but they are thinking that you want to know the decision. So maybe again 50-50 chance only. The third reviewer is also rejecting, it will be automatically rejected. So they are conveying that decision earlier with a little bit.
I would like to add, Srijali, here that it is not so nowadays, because if you go to the Elsevier and they have this really advanced chatbot system. So nowadays chatbot is applying you, and it's in a very polite way, so they don't take it otherwise. And please don't set this assumption in your head that if I ask about my paper it will be rejected, or you need to be in fear. You need to give some kind of time to the journal. It should not be in the hurry that most of the time we get how to get published in 1 month in Scopus. That is something unrealistic expectation from any journal. Having said that, sometimes you see that the status has not been changed for last 4 months, let's say. So chatbot is there, and for Emerald, they update the author by themselves at every stage. So many publication houses are doing this thing because they understand that this is the pain point, and you need not to think about that. If ever you have experienced that thing, it could be some individual based thing, but it is not in general you can say about all the editors. It could be one person view, or maybe the situation of that sort. So that is not something we can generalize about asking the stage of the paper and about the at what stage our paper has reached. So it is nothing to do with that. And as a suggestion, you can also conduct a study on that. You can get the data from the people who have sent the mail, and then you can see and you can find out correlation. Then you can publish a paper on that also. That is a good opportunity and good topic, that is paper rejected based on those mails. So maybe you are hitting a gold mine.
Thank you. Okay, please.
I want to share my experience regarding the question that Shradha asked. I submitted one paper to the I submitted one of my paper to the Q2 journal, Scopus Indexed, and I waited for complete 1 year for their decision whether it's in review or not. And at the last, when it was complete 1 year, I sent them a reminder mail that it's complete 1 year, but I have not seen progress in my paper review. And after that, I got a mail from the editor, and there was 3 lines of review after it, and my paper was ultimately accepted in it. So that was one of my experience, but it was a very long time. I waited for 1 year to send a reminder mail to the editor. That's all.
You ended in a happy ending. It could be a rejection mail also.
Yeah, it could have been, but it was just an experience. But it happened with me in 2 journals. I waited for 1.5 years.
You should share the story every time, everywhere.
Okay.
Yes, yes. And adding to that, one more thing is there, don't think that we are not knowing that your article is completed, because we get timely reminders like from Elsevier, Emerald kind now. So we'll be getting that this we are pending decision. So mostly 3 months is the time period they are giving. So after that they will be giving that you have to make a decision on the manuscript. But we are unable to make because maybe the reviews are conflicting. So we cannot like come up to an opinions like to convey to the author. And I was saying to Dr. Shracha regarding this, if you are maybe sending repeated mails in a week, or maybe there is a chance that, so after 3 months or 4 months, like Pooja ma'am is saying, you can definitely ask, like you have to know the status of your paper. But don't like repeated mails in 1 week. You are
Patient.
yes, little bit of patience also needed. Okay, thank you.
My question is to sir. Sir, it would be great if you could share any one challenge that you face, since you are a distinguished researcher in the area of supply chain management. One success story and one failure story of yours, sir. We could learn from that.
Regarding it, not related
Publication
to
of paper.
Okay.
Your publication.
Okay, not related to editorship. Okay.
But your publication.
Okay,
Yeah.
my journey. Okay. Maybe that I can say is about my first article got rejected from maybe 4 or 5 journals. So initially I felt like, and my second article was published first, and after 1 year only my first article got published. Even it was corrected, my even I am my guide were sitting together to correct it. But it is a process. Maybe the first article, maybe like it is a very difficult task, like getting into a very good journal. So mostly researchers will compromise, make trade-offs with time. So eventually they submit to maybe a lesser journal, because they need to have a decision and they have to complete they have to graduate also. So this is my like one thing that when my article was rejected one time, I feel it's okay. I can incorporate, and even we will be hesitant to incorporate the comments. We think that is that okay, maybe the reviewer or the editor is not understanding my work, but it is not the case. Later, I eventually I understand that they are saying mostly it is a you take it the criticism in a constructive way always, even though the reviewer is saying bit harsh to you, maybe they are saying worthless your paper, it's okay, just avoid those comments, but only those comments that can be addressable. You can see, just search for something will be there, some gem will be there in that. So just take it and take it in a constructive way, try to improve it, and try to submit in similar or better journals only. So it's a suggestion only, don't go for the because the readership and the citations, everything will depend on the level, means the quality of the journal that you publish. So that is one thing, and maybe the second article is accepted, that is my moment of happiness also. Both are in the story, I think. Just
Sir, how good in today's times are perspective papers? I mean, because I developed a perspective paper, sent it to a couple of journals, got rejection. And then I got the message that maybe I need to add some empirics to it, supported through data analysis to make it more acceptable. So is it that perspective papers are not, uh, popular these days with editors? They don't want to accept such articles? Or is it okay? Maybe I'm targeting wrong journals. Is it something like that?
not like that. Actually, you can read the scope of the journal. Mainly, it lies with the scope of the journal. Some journals, it clearly they write like maybe we don't accept literature reviews, or we don't. So their preference is like that. Don't. It is not like perspectives papers are being valued less or nothing like that. It is there, but it depends on the scope of the paper. Most of the journal, they will be writing in the scope that they accept only mostly empirical contribution, or maybe a contribution, methodological contribution. So maybe the journals which they clearly pointed that the perspectives are accepted, you can target those.
And also I keep wondering whether uh, we is it necessary to include the latest tools and techniques of analysis and make it more attractive by showcasing those kinds of data visualizations in the paper? Or is it okay that I keep following the traditional method of data analysis and going by the traditional method? Or is it really important to make my paper attractive by showing those kinds of data visualization graphs, and only then will my paper be acceptable? Is it something like that? Is it in trend?
Yes, madam. That's a very good question, actually. May I know your name, madam?
I'm Sonia Dheer.
Okay, okay. Okay, Professor Sonia, madam. Actually, I just wanted to add to this. Maybe it's 50% correct. We can say that, because the editors may be thinking of the methodological aspect. Means the methodology is novel or new. Then the one way they are thinking that it can be like lot of research can be done on that. So maybe one time we can say that maybe the empirical contribution, either it is contributing something empirically to that, or methodologically. So new methodology or novel methodology, or maybe a combination of a different methodology they are trying. So these things editors will be looking into, and it is not necessarily mandatory that you have to do with even the old methods like AHP people are working on. But the problem should be either the novelty should lie in the problem or with the methodology, or something that additional what conclusion you are making. It should be something new. That is what. Yeah. Thank you.
And also, sir, these days, say for example, I'm targeting a journal on climate issues, which is quite much in modern problems, which everybody wants to work upon. But then I find so much work has already been done. It's really difficult to find a research problem hovering around that area, which is much in demand, but at the same time, everybody has worked upon it. So how do I, really figure out what I can contribute to that particular research area? I'm sure you researchers like Pooja ma'am and you yourself might have faced that problem yourselves in your areas of expertise. So how do you deal with that problem? Do you collaborate with different people in other expert areas and try to get into other new fields which are really not your expertise, but because there is no way out, you have to do that? That you might not find it interesting, but then because there is no way out, you have to collaborate with people in other domains? But I mean, what is the way out?
That's a good question. Actually, to answer that, maybe we can say that we are, as an academician or a researcher, we have to go for meaningful collaborations. Like if something for just my name will appear, that may not be the type of collaboration. So you think that if somebody is approaching you, you can check it whether you can make a contribution to the paper and something that it is in your area. That is the second part of your question. The first part was related to sorry, I missed the first. Can you?
I'm Dr. Sonia.
No, first part of the question.
Whether the problem, the research problem, which has become a common area for everybody to research upon.
I understand that. Okay, that is there is no way out. Actually, we have to be updated with the literature. Even if you are like as an author, you have to definitely read at least 1 or 2 paper every week. So at least that is the minimum I'm saying. Then only you will be updated with the area. You will be knowing what are the recent articles being published. And mostly these Scholar and Scopus, you have you have an account. They will be giving the notification. At least if you cannot read the entire article, at least read the abstract. If it is not related, then you can skip it over. So you will be maybe over the years you will be knowing what is being happening in your area. So this is like we have to be like every time you have to read the article, then only will be updated knowing about, because if you are doing some research somebody already done have done, so then that may not be a novel contribution. Finally you are knowing that it will be at a later point only, so it will not be published in a good journal. You will be also having that repercussion like this. That is, thank you.
My query is that what is an ideal number of collaborators can be there when it is a collaborative research, like 4 authors, 5 authors, because we have seen multiple people adding to that. So what is an ideal, you can say 4, 5?
Okay, actually there is no number, but there are two things around it. The first thing is that you should see that whether people are contributing, you actually need this much of authorship or not. So journal never rejects a paper based on number of authors in the paper. They never reject it. That is not a criteria for them to reject. That is something which author has to decide. But to control this kind of practice, of course, journals are become little particular about the statement of work which you have, every author has done. So you must have seen that authorship statement is there, that what contribution statement authors have given. So that should be meaningful. And if for example, if one study we are doing in 25 countries, right, and in different continents, then 10 authors also make a sense that they are from the different continents. But in case you are making some simple empirical paper with not of much rigorous and simple cross sectional studies there, that too in India, and you are having 20 authors or 15 author or 7 authors, so they will understand that people have not contributed much. So that may not be a direct reason to reject, but definitely author, also editor or the reviewer, sometimes reviewer may not know, but associate editor or editor may think about that what is the actual contribution, and they really compare with the manuscript contribution with the number of authors. So that may raise one kind of doubt in that, but that is not a criteria. That is something which author need to decide, because ultimately when the paper will be published, it will be in a public domain, right? So whether we can justify as a author this much number of authors in a paper or not, so that needs to be seen. So we can see from single author to paper published with 30 authors, 50 authors also. So that is not something which is not there, but that is something journal has nothing to do, but the author needs to be taken care of. And regarding one thing, I'm jumping in with the Sonia ma'am's question that how to find out the gap. So what sir has mentioned is definitely there, but one thing I would like to add is you quite be omnivore in your reading. Sometimes if, for example, I'm from the marketing domain, so if I keep on reading just marketing papers, I will not get the new thing out of there. So what I should do, that either I should read journal management paper, if not paper as sir has mentioned abstract, because we have already short of time, and also the HR thing, or the financial behavior thing, which is a part of consumer behavior. So you need to see the related lines also, and you can also go through the literature from at least high impact journals, so you know what kind of topic they are talking about. So I would like to quote one example here. Recently I got publication in JRCS, which is a category journal in Journal of Retailing. So that issue was on metaverse. So what we did, we tried to connect the metaverse as a sustainable tool, right? Right till now, metaverse was mostly explored as a technological tool, or maybe something related to hedonics, or maybe some new way of shopping, or another technology in the market. But nobody till date has experienced or explained metaverse, that how it can help in reducing the carbon emission. So we try to connect these two things, sustainability with metaverse, not as a technology, but as an opportunity to reduce the carbon emission, because they say that we need not to travel to the showrooms and all to check out for the things. So we can do it at our home. So we connected like that. So if you will read literatures which may not be of your direct interest but are from the different domains as a management scholar, so maybe you will get the idea and then you can look for that. Just keep focusing your study in your own domain may not help you much. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Neelam Dhal. Actually, off-scene, we've been seeing that no, the paper has a lot of qualitative analysis and quantitative analysis as well. But then, no, we find scholars coming to us that the papers are not getting selected. So, any ingredients by way of which we can enhance probably the acceptance rate? Because I remember way back about 6-8 years back, if there was a paper which just included no simple data analysis with SPSS, like regression analysis, so there were high chances of getting it published in B category or C category. But now when we tell our scholars that okay, in addition to the primary data through quantitative analysis, you add qualitative data analysis as well, but still we find no scholars coming to us that it is a mix of both quantitative and qualitative, still the papers are not getting selected. So are there any ingredients or essentials which increases the acceptance rate? If I could get it from you, I can pass it on to my scholars.
Definitely, ma'am. It's a great question, and it is the question in every researcher mind. So my take on this particular thing, which I follow for myself also, first you need to be the reader of the journal. What we do sometimes, we are so busy in developing the manuscript, we are not the true reader. We just read from that only thing from the paper which we want to read. We never read a paper as a full paper. So we should we should be the first reader of that journal, and then we see the trend out there. For example, if in marketing I am publishing, I'll see the top journals and whatever level I am targeting. Okay, let's say I want to target not A star but the C category journal, and I'm a beginner. So what I'll do, what are my target journals, maybe 10 or 20 or 15, then I'll see the trend, what trend is going on, what kind of sample size these paper are taking, what kind of methodology these papers are taking nowadays. Because trend thing is something which Sonia ma'am has also asked, is something which we cannot ignore. Even though research gaps has their own demand for the methodology, I'm not ignoring that, but at the same time trend is also important. For example, in marketing, if you see the top tier journal like Journal of Consumer Behavior, JRCS, JBR for that matter, they are slowly moving toward experimentation. So it is not that some SEM has dead. It is not that, but there is some kind of inclination towards that. So we need to be little proactive. And we also need to see that whatever tool and technique has been used in the paper is just for the sake of writing it, that we have used qualitative as well as quantitative, or actually we contributed something to the domain by using qualitative tool, which is the whole purpose of that, and then we have validated it through the survey, which is the purpose of the quantitative data. So we need to not just write the words, but through our paper we need to convince the reviewers and the editors that whatever we are saying, it has been done with the proper care and with the seriousness, and we are making a serious contribution out there. So methodology is important, but it is not the only thing which everyone is looking for. Appropriateness is something which is very important, and you need to be little scanny in the eyes, that there should be some scanner in your eyes as well, that what kind of sample people these journals are taking, what kind of the type of sample, or the sample profile is also important, because some journals throw the paper out if you submit the paper based on just student sample, but the other journals are taking it. So you need to be very vigilant about all these things, that what kind of methodology one particular journal or one particular type of journal are accepting, and then you have to design the paper. So basic thing boils down to one thing, that you need to be a good reader. And I always say, in research, the R stands for reading before writing, right? So that is very important. Thank you.
They also ask for 2 citations from the editors, editorial committee, or from the journal publication. So what is your take on that? Is it just to, increase the citation, the impact factor of the citations of the journal and the editors, or what is your take on that?
Yeah, I have seen that practices like some of the journals. Actually, the editor maybe just want to like, maybe it is not about increase the citations alone. I think the editor want to see that whether you have read the similar articles which are published in the journal. Maybe the similar type of articles which are published in that, and what they have contributed, and might not have, you might not have read that papers. So that may be one intention, and this can be one intention. But most of the, I think, high quality journals don't, even if you submit a paper without any single reference from that paper, it will be sent for automatically for review. It's not like that is not a mandatory necessary criteria. But maybe the editor have a preference, like you have not read the similar article being published by our journal, but you have not read it, so something is missing, that they may have a pre-assumption also like this.
I would like to add something. See, this is, it's all that how you take it. So one way to take is that if you are not a reader of the journal, if something in the similar context has been already published and you are not quoting that, it shows some kind of signal that you are not the reader of that journal. So every journal would like to be selected, not like by chance you are just publishing it. So every journal wants to be your favorite in that context, so that you chose that journal and journal has chosen. It should be a two-way thing. So that's why one thing, of course, readership they want to increase, and it will benefit you in that future also. I'm not endorsing that view, but I'm just asking you to see the positive side of that. So if that context matches you, and they always say that on the similar context, if you find something, you may cite that. So it is always suggestive. Of course, I'm not doubting the intention of the editor and associate editor here. It could be some individual, practice, but I'm just putting a positive thing out there. First thing is that because you need to be reader of the journal, and if your paper matches to the same context, I think it is beneficial for you as well and for the journal as well. So this is the, I think, idea behind that. And in last review, sometimes they say, and mainly C category journals make this kind of request to the author. Hardly there is any A category or B category journal make such kind of request. It will be automatically. And second thing is that it will show that your paper fit in their domain also, scope also. If you will cite from the journal, it would be a kind of proof that your paper fits to the scope of the journal. So this is another way to look at it. Thank you.
Keeping the time constraints in mind, this will be the last question of the session.
Good evening, everyone. I just want to ask one question, that first the journal takes time to accept or reject that particular paper. And then suppose if the paper is being rejected and it always takes some time to improve that particular paper, then again, you have to file that paper in some of the journal. So don't you think so the data would have collected from that primary analysis being outdated one? Then what to do with this problem?
No, ma'am, but I have the experience of getting rejection in 15 minutes as well. So I don't know which kind of journals you're there. So it's a mix from months or years to the minutes. So I took half an hour to submit the paper and took, I think, 10 minutes to get rejected. So we have that kind of experiences, but these are some exceptions. So keeping in mind that thing which you have mentioned, the outdated data, see, it also depends upon you also. Sometimes you don't get the comments that you may incorporate, as sir has mentioned. Not every comment you may incorporate, and if you are incorporate, you need to be a little quick with that, because the loss is yours. So when loss is yours, sometimes we also behave lazy, and we keep on that paper on our table for 6 months, for 7 months. So we should, if in case we feel that we are dealing with the topic where data could be outdated, we need to keep that, we should keep that paper as a priority, and we should, whatever improvements we can do and we feel we should make, we should do it. Otherwise, if you feel that you have not got any kind of suggestions to improve the paper, and simple a standard email is sent to you that this paper is not suitable to our scope or something like that, some standard template we have, so every journal has. So let's say if you have received that kind of template mail, then you should not waste your time, and you should send it to another journal, keeping the guidelines of that journal. But if you get some kind of comments, constructive comments, and you feel that you can apply those comments in your paper, you should be little quick with that. Only that thing will solve your this data outdatation problem. But second thing is that in very few, especially SLR paper may face this problem, that you have collected some data and then now more data is there. So you can always put in the limitation, but yes, this risk is always there, and this risk could be just addressed by the author only, because his work is on the stake, not anyone else. So it's your problem, it will be solved by you. You cannot be, nobody will think on behalf of you. So you have to think how to deal with this problem, but these are the some ways you can deal with it. Thank you.
Thank you. Adding to Pooja ma'am was saying, mostly with the same thing only, SLR or bibliometric papers only, you will be having this problem. Mostly it will happen because the submission may be at a time, and after 6 months if the rejection happen, then 6 months at least 10 12 articles may be published. So the editor or the reviewer want to incorporate those papers also. It's natural thing only, like that you have to be aware of that risk. And for the other papers, maybe to avoid somebody else publishing this with the same data or the same research, even archives are there. So you can just put the pre-published versions in the archive, so that that it will be protected as your paper. So nobody will copy it again. Maybe the similar works can be done by someone. That is also one type of risk. But the major type of risk of somebody copying and publishing in a lower level journal, that can be avoided, because I have seen that instances also, like so that to avoid that.
Thank you, speakers. It was truly an insightful session. Now, as we conclude this enlightening Meet the Editors session, I'm filled with gratitude for the opportunity to engage with such accomplished scholars and an enthusiastic audience. First and foremost, I extend my heartfelt thanks to our distinguished speakers, Dr. Pooja Goyal and Dr. Rajesh R., for sharing their profound insights and inspiring us for their groundbreaking work. Your presence today has made us both enriching and thought-provoking. A special thanks to our audience. Your curiosity and engagement have made this session a truly interactive and vibrant exchange of ideas.
As a token of our heartfelt gratitude and appreciation for your time, insights, and invaluable contributions, we would like to present our honored speakers with a small memento. I now request Dr. Pooja Jain to felicitate Dr. Pooja Goyal with a memento. I request Dr. Sonia Dhir to present a memento to Dr. Rajesh R.
With that, let us take the lessons we have learned today and continue pushing the boundaries of knowledge in our respective fields. There is an announcement to be made. The cultural event will take place at the center stage. I now request everyone to proceed towards the center stage. Thank you all and have a wonderful evening ahead.